Welcome to the Thrive Careers Podcast, the show that helps you move your career confusion to career success, hosted by the extraordinary Olajumoke Fatoki. Each episode is packed with expert insights, real-life stories, and practical strategies to help you land your dream job, level up, and build a career you love. No more guesswork, just clear, actionable steps to help you thrive. If you're ready, let's jump right into it. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Thrive Careers Podcast, your space for career clarity, confidence, and bold career moves. I'm your host, Olajumoke Fatoki. And guess what? I'm so excited about today's edition because we've just been named the best careers podcaster last week by the Women Podcasters Network. And I'm honestly so honored. So whether you've been with me from day one that I started this show or you're tuning in for the first time, thank you for joining me. Your support means the world. Thank you everyone who voted, and thank you for all our amazing guests. I am so excited to be sharing this wonderful news with you. Now, if LinkedIn has ever felt confusing, or if you've ever wondered how AI can actually help you stand out on LinkedIn without sounding robotic, today's episode is for you. I'm sitting down with Al Kushner, the author of the book AI LinkedIn Advantage, to explore exactly how showing up matters and how you can do that in a smarter and more efficient way to also enhance your job search and personal branding online. So, Al Kushner, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of the Thrive Careers Podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ola. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. We're so excited to have you. And there's just one burning question in my heart for us to start with today. And, let me just say this. I've been enjoying listening to the book since I got my hands on it. I haven't been able to put it down. And I'm just so excited about how much possibilities we can explore on this show today. And a lot of questions that people have been asking me about LinkedIn and how that can get started. But before we get into the how-tos, first and foremost, I want to know what inspired you to write the book, The AI LinkedIn Advantage, and what's one key takeaway that you hope readers would gain from reading this book?
What inspired me is that I was looking in the marketplace to see if there were books that were both AI and LinkedIn, and for some reason I didn't find anything. So I said, well, why not make a book that does both? And that's something was really important because I have a lot of people who I work with, clients of mine, who need help in the areas of developing their profile, optimizing in a way that looks professional. And I felt this book could lend itself to a lot of people as a resource.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. And I love what you said there. You found out that there was a gap and you created something to fill up that gap. And that's why we're having this conversation today. The book impacting millions of people around the world. Thank you so much. We're excited to have that on this show today. So now let's get into the meat of the conversation. For me personally, before now, LinkedIn has always felt very overwhelming. A lot of people would rather show up on Instagram, places where they can be themselves, but showing up on LinkedIn comes with a lot of, and that's what I hear people say. And I just want you to demystify that concept for us today, that how can people show up on LinkedIn without feeling overwhelmed or feeling like they need to sound perfect or show up in a perfect way? Thank you.
I don't think it's about being perfect, but I think before you do any type of outreach, you really need to focus on optimizing a profile, because that's going to make a difference, because you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. And if it doesn't really look up to par, then you really need to examine it in ways that you can make yourself look professional and have a profile that's not just a resume, but more of a value to whoever you're connecting with. So that's just for starters.
Amazing. I remember how long it used to take to write a single LinkedIn summary, and I'm still unsure how long it takes now, but I know that there are now a lot of AI tools everywhere. There are tons of AI tools everywhere, that people can use and make this platform feel less intimidating. So how is AI transforming the way professionals approach personal branding on LinkedIn?
Well, I think definitely it's definitely a time saver, because it allows you to take information that you give it and it can actually help enhance it. So it looks and feels, very much like a profile that is robust and really commands attention. So when I looked at different types of ways to improve information, I usually use services like ChatGPT and ask for certain keywords to help enhance the header on the profile. And that certainly was a good starting point because it really helped to define, what I represent. So if someone is looking for something like, let's say, SEO optimization or other things, they can include that in the profile header. You can do up to 50, I believe. So that was something that was really important to know that I have access to resources that can help me do that, and you're not alone.
Amazing. A follow-up question. You spoke about something that I think is very critical, and I just wanted you to expand on it a bit. SEO. How do people really leverage SEO to build their presence online? How does that work?
Well, I mean, I know when it comes to LinkedIn, and that's where my focus is to boost your presence, is to create content that people want to read. So if you are developing a newsletter, for example, on LinkedIn, and you get followers, well, whenever you post on there, they'll be notified that your information is available. And that certainly will help to develop you as a thought leader. That's really what you want to become. So educate people, give more than you receive. This is just some things that off the top work quite well when it comes to LinkedIn.
Beautiful, beautiful. So can you share a story of someone who's used some of those tools, that, especially the ones you shared in your book, to land a role or to elevate their presence on LinkedIn in a meaningful?
Well, I've had clients who really didn't understand how important to have a profile that looks well. They just really kind of took it for granted. And I helped them to, find a professional headshot photographer to take a picture, what they look like, help to enhance their background image. These things made a difference. Create and start a newsletter. I myself have up to 5 newsletters, depending on different niches, and it works out quite well. And I always have every week new followers. So for me, it's just something that a lot of clients resonated well. They want to become thought leaders. They want to dominate the competition. So they took the resources in my book and they've seen tremendous results, from 110% increased followers to engagements that were really, they couldn't even believe that would be helpful. Engage with an influencer on LinkedIn and have the followers follow you because of that engagement. I mean, they couldn't think about it because they didn't know what to say. With AI technology, they had access to things that would be resulting in something possibly going viral. So that made a difference for a lot of my clients.
Amazing. I love it. And a specific keyword you use if you want to dominate competition. And I think that's really strategic. All right. So what first steps should someone take to build a standout LinkedIn profile using some of those AI tools we've spoken about on this show today?
Well, to make a standout, I would say focus in on certain keywords that you can, give, let's say, ChatGPT that you want to stress. I think you can do up to 50 or 60 keywords in your headline.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to be able to maximize on that. That's very important to note. I would say other things that are important is any type of, attributes that you can share. Like if you've done volunteer work, it's looked very favorably on a lot of people on LinkedIn. If you had any awards that you won recently, do you know anyone who's won an award recently?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Now is an opportunity to showcase that on LinkedIn because there's a feature where you can indicate, an award that you received. So
Mm-hmm.
that is a good thing. And people love that because it's a third party endorsement, which really makes it a difference. In addition to volunteer work, your skills that you can do up to 100 skills and have that as part of your profile. But also, most importantly, is recommendations. Getting recommendations on LinkedIn really makes a difference because it's, again, another form of third-party endorsements. It's still letting people know that other people use your services and are happy with it. And that's something that really makes your profile stand out above the rest.
I love that. Thank you so much. So, as we proceed today, I know that a lot of people really want to use LinkedIn, but they are using it in the wrong way. And that's one of the things that we are here to address today. So, what LinkedIn mistakes do you see people making and that really holds them back from achieving their goals?
Well, besides not having a profile optimized, as soon as they do an outreach, the first thing they want to do is pitch slap. That's not the way you're going to make a connection with someone. The fact is that it's almost laughable when people do that. And as soon as somebody does that to me, I disconnect them because they just simply are showing me that they really just don't care about what they're putting efforts into, like the connection. To be accepted by someone is gaining their trust in that individual. And by doing something like that, it's not only rude. I mean, just imagine if you were at an event that was meeting with networking people, and people are just approaching you, not saying their name, whatever, they're saying what they can sell you. I mean, that's really absurd, but they still do it. And that's something that is not looked upon favorably when you are making connections with someone. So you want to tone it down. You want to just say, thanks for connecting, and, anything I can do to help you, I'm happy to do that. Just make it simple. And that really is going to make quality connections. And down the road, I would say that posting, whenever that individual posts on LinkedIn, is to comment on a post that they've done recently. Because most of the time when people do post, they usually don't get many people following it at all. But if you're all of a sudden, deciding to post what they've done, well, all of a sudden you're getting their attention, because all of a sudden your post is something that will get noticed, and they may decide to find out what other things you can offer them to help. So just off the bat, I'd share that.
Beautiful. And I think you touched on my next question, which is how can professionals use LinkedIn to build real relationships and not just collecting connection requests everywhere, but building real valuable relationship that can really translate. And I think you already answered that by just keeping it simple and going outside of your way to comment on their posts and just making yourself visible to them, within their net. So if someone has been inactive on LinkedIn for months, and I hear this question so many times, how can they re-enter without feeling awkward? How can they get back on LinkedIn without feeling awkward?
Well, I would say that, that's a great opportunity to really focus on optimizing your profile. Add things that you haven't done in those months. Maybe you've changed jobs, you got an award, or you were, recognized for some type of other achievement. That's an opportunity. If you have existing followers and such, I would say to post something that may be of value for someone. Most of the time I've seen 90% of the posts are self-serving. It's about the services they offer, or some amazing, testimonial from a client that loved their services. And most of the time people look at it as fake and, not sincere. And I find that, if you want to make a difference, maybe you do it slowly. If you're following a certain influencer, perhaps comment on their post. And that may help to gain some recognition, gain some traction, and give you ability to gradually move into the ability to connect with people authentically. That's really what I see is the best approach.
That is beautiful. And thank you so much. Balancing authenticity with whatever it is that you're doing is really critical. People still connect with real stories, real people, not just some suggested algorithm trends. And that's it on the core topics for today. We just have 3 rounds of rapid fire questions quickly, and then we get to the end of today's episode. So are you ready?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Beautiful. So what's one LinkedIn feature people totally overlook that you would like to speak about?
Invest in the premium versions of LinkedIn, like Sales Navigator, a great tool, and you can find out people who are active on LinkedIn or who's checked out your profile. And I think it makes a difference if you're making connections, because people want to know who's looking at you, and maybe there's an opportunity to do business with someone who you never thought would consider.
Beautiful. Thank you. So what's your current favorite AI or productivity tool?
I love Grammarly. It's a great tool. It really helps you to improve your grammar, really focuses on sentence structure, and looks for the mistakes and typos that nobody has time to look for.
And that's an impactful one. All right. So what's one career lesson that stuck with you and you wish more people knew about?
Career lesson would be that always update your profile, be current, and be able to give an impression, whoever looks at your profile, that you are coming across as a professional and someone that that they can use as a resource, whether they're information in your articles that you've written or videos that you posted. Be giving than taking.
All right. So that brings us to your final words for all our listeners today. In passing, what would you say to everyone who has tuned into today's episode?
What I would say is that if you need help in learning about LinkedIn and you're afraid to reach out, start with resources that are available to you, like my book, You can go to my website, linkvantage.com. I have free ebooks on how to optimize your profile. So take advantage of this information and use it to help improve and make your experience on LinkedIn worthwhile.
Fantastic. All right. So I know that a lot of people would also want to connect with you. You mentioned a few, but if you just want to take 1 minute to just tell people how they can reach you on LinkedIn or across different online platforms, how can they find you and get access to some of the resources you've spoken about?
Well, my website, linkedvantage.com, is one resource. You can also go to my LinkedIn profile and you can find my name and reach out and connect. These are just ways to do that. My book will be available July 4th for both the soft cover and audio book version. So you can find it on Spotify and Audible. Just off the top would be a good starting point.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Al, for joining me on today's conversation. It's been so rich and practical and just what our listeners needed at this very point. And if this episode got your wheels turning and you're ready to take control of your career story online, particularly on LinkedIn, I've got something to also help you in addition to all that Al has also presented today. So you can download my free Career Clarity Playbook. It's packed with simple steps to help you get clear, confident, and career ready. So thank you so much for joining us on today's episode. And until we come your way again next time, keep thriving. And that's it for today's episode of Thrive Careers Podcast. I am Olajumoke Fataki, reminding you that no matter where you are in your career, you have the power to rewrite your story. If you've enjoyed today's insights, do not forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who's ready to thrive. If you have questions or topics you'd like for me to cover, let's connect. I would love to hear from you. Remember, clarity creates confidence, and confidence leads to success. And until I come your way again next time, stay inspired and keep thriving.